So earlier this morning, I was actually on Twitter and I found out R. Kelly had been attacked. And I'm pretty sure all of you heard this too. And apparently, one of his attorneys, Douglas Antoine, he goes on to say, as has been reported, Robert was assaulted at the Chicago MCC. I'm advised that he is okay physically and that other inmates simply flip because he is incarcerated. And it has nothing to do with Robert specifically. We'll provide updates. So, that's the update that one of his attorneys gave. So, I've also heard other theories that the person that attacked R. Kelly attacked him because he was upset about the R. Kelly protesters, and the facility was placed on lockdown because of the R. Kelly protesters, and the inmate was pissed off about that, and he just decided to take it out on R. Kelly, right? So of course, the supporters, they've come out and they're like, this wasn't because we were supporting R. Kelly. This is not because we were protesting for R. Kelly, and we need to just continue doing what we do, so on and so forth. So I actually have a slightly different theory, right? I actually have a slightly different theory, and I want to know what you guys think. So my limited understanding of prison, I've never really been locked up. I've been in the Cook County Corrections Facility, but when I was there, I was just there just for a couple of days, right? And I was there on some silly nonsense, right? Um, so, from my understanding, the way the prison works is that well, the system works, not prison, is that Cook County facility is kind of like the holding center. They take you until you have your trial. Then, after you're indicted, you're actually shipped off to prison. And even when you're in Cook County correction facility, you're segregated, right? So there's different tiers, right? So there's non-violent offenders and then there's violent offenders. So I'm just oversimplifying it. So I was actually in the section of non-violent offenders. Now, later on, what ended up happening is like one of the COs actually didn't like me, and because I didn't cooperate, I guess he wanted to, teach me a lesson. He put me in a medical facility where I ended up, being in the same room with a lot of violent offenders. And I guess what was supposed to happen is I was supposed to get jumped, but God willing, that never really happened, right? But I ended up spending like maybe 3 or 4 days with people who were convicted of robbing, shooting, raping, and so on and so forth. So that's my limited experience of actually being in prison. Now, with that said, I grew up on the mean streets of Chicago, and I know prison. I'm sorry, I know people who go in and out of prison on a regular basis. It's just pretty much like them going off on vacation, right? Violent offenders as well. So I hear stories. People tell me things, and from what I understand, basically, when you go to prison, there's basically different titles that you have, or there's different categories that you're put in, right? You're either connected or you're neutron, right? Those are the two major categories, right? If you're connected, then it's just a matter of who you're affiliated with, who you're connected with, and then you roll with your people, whatever, right? But if you're not connected, then you're a neutron. All right, so you're a neutron, and before I get too deep off into our Kelly situation, I'm just gonna say, I ended up actually watching this Buddhist monk, and the Buddhist monk had actually went to prison to basically service the prisoners. And while he was there, he ended up comparing his life to prison, and for a while he couldn't really tell the difference, right? Because a lot of things that the prisoners do, he do on an everyday basis, and for him, he's in a state of nirvana. But for the prisoners, they're in a state of hell, right? So how can he be in a state of ecstasy, which is nirvana, doing the same exact thing that prisoners are doing, right? And it boils down to this: prison is basically a place that you don't want to be. So if you take that Buddhist monk, you drop him in prison, he's 100% in ecstasy, because this is a place that, he wants to be mentally, right? Because, he's able to focus on his state of consciousness. He can meditate every day. He can exercise every day. He can work out. He can do anything he want to do, right? With his time, right? And he doesn't have to worry about how he's going to pay the rent. He doesn't have to worry about how he is going to pay for, these damn parking tickets that you get all the time. He doesn't have to worry about, these red light traffic cameras. He doesn't have to worry about how he's going to get money to basically get food. The only thing he has to worry about in prison is whatever he wants to worry about, which essentially is going to boil down to his happiness, right? So again, prison, and the reason I'm going to get to the reason I'm actually bringing this up in a minute, but let me just first say, if you take out the aggression and the different cliques in prison trying to control the prison, you take out the frustration that the prisoners have because they can't get back to their life. If you take those things out, then prison can actually be a state or nirvana for any and everybody, right? Because you can do whatever you want to do with that time. You can write music. Of course, you may not have access to the instruments, whatever, but you can be creative, right? You can read all day. You can exercise all day. You can do anything you want. It's just that you're limited on your freedom. You can't get out and interact with everybody else, but you can focus on yourself, right? So I bring that up only to say that it's the frustration, it's the factions in prison trying to control the prison. These are the things that make the prison dangerous, right? But the prison in and of itself could actually be a perfect time for self-reflection, right? A perfect time to enhance your consciousness, right? But because you have, this power or struggle for power and control of the prison, that's why prison becomes dangerous. Now you have to worry about, getting shanked. Now you have to worry about getting raped. Now you have to worry about your safety on a day-to-day basis, because you have people in prison trying to take control on a prison. And this happens on several different levels. Uh, of course, the highest level is that, if you're running a criminal organization, then you want complete control over the prisons, and the wardens and the police sheriffs are like, I mean, the prison deputies, or whatever you call those people, or the prison guards, they're more likely to give you this control, because if they let you control the prison, then you're going to basically keep everything in check, and all they have to do is just control you, right? So on the high level, if you're the head or in the upper echelons of a prison or a criminal organization, then you're going to be able to be looking to control every aspect of the prison, you know. But on the lower level, you're still going to want to basically have control, because if you appear weak as an individual, then it's more likely that people are going to come and test you. If you appear weak as an individual, then people are going to try to take advantage of you. And if you appear weak as an individual, then people are not going to respect your space, right? When actuality, it's a shared space, but people on an individual basis, they want control of their, their little environment, their four walls, right? They want control of that small little box. So where am I going with this? So basically what I'm trying to say, or what I'm getting to, is that I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe R. Kelly is a neutron. And for those of you that don't know what a neutron is somebody who is not connected. And when I say connected, I mean connected with any criminal organizations in the prison, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a criminal organization. It could be a religious organization, right? But for the most part, R. Kelly is a neutron, right? So if you think he's not a neutron, leave your questions and comments below and let me know what you think. But I've never heard R. Kelly being associated with Black Keystone Rangers or El Rookins or Mickey Cobras. You know, those are the gangs that were around when I was growing up. Now they just have so many of these damn things that I can't even keep up with them. I think now the gangs that are out there are the Bloods or something like that. I don't know. You know, I have no idea. But I do believe there are organizations in prison, and if you come in as a neutron and you go in there thinking that you're finna live a life or nirvana, and you're about to have a higher state of consciousness because you're going to be reflecting on your life and you're going to be exercising and you're going to be writing poems, you're sadly mistaken. 100% sadly mistaken, right? If you go in there as a neutron, you can expect your life to be an absolute living hell, because one or two things are going to happen. Either you're going to become someone's property the day one, the day that you get in there. And that could probably be one of the better outcomes for a person as a neutron, because if you become someone's property and you're valuable to them, then, or you're valuable to an organization per se, right? So I guess there's a couple of scenarios. You can just become someone's property, or you become property of the criminal organization. And if you're property of a criminal organization, and you have value to that criminal organization, then you're going to end up getting some protection. Of course, you're going to be mistreated and you're going to have to do what they tell you to do. But hey, it's prison. But you get a certain level of protection that goes along with that. And that's going to be based on your value when you go into prison. The other direction it can go into is that, you can become an individual's property, and or you can even become, the property of the criminal organization, but you have no value to that organization. And because you have no value to that organization, they're going to do whatever they want to do to you, right? So they can rape you, they can abuse you on a day by day, on a day by day basis. So th- there's two possibilities for, even a person who's a neutron. There's multiple possibilities, let me throw that out there, but those are the two polarizing possibilities for a person as a neutron. And again, R. Kelly is a neutron, right? If you refute what I'm saying, prove it. I've never heard R. Kelly being associated with any organization and or criminal organization, and he is a celebrity. I give you that. He's a celebrity, 100%. He's a celebrity, and one could argue that his celebrity status will trump the dynamics of, prison. And I don't believe that argument. I don't believe that argument prevails, because basically, when you're in prison, you're basically in a closed environment, and because you're in the closed environment, that environment becomes your reality, right? So although he may be a celebrity, he may, have all this clout outside of prison, but now you're in this closed environment, right? So I personally think the reason that he was attacked is because he's a neutron. And there's a strong possibility that the person who attacked him is a part of one of the warring criminal factions, or just, I won't even say criminal, right? Because if you're in prison and you're locked up, it's hard to see reality. It's impossible to see reality beyond those prison walls. So I'll just say warring factions, right? Or organization, whatever, right? So I think R. Kelly was basically attacked because he's a neutron, and one of those cliques that's in the federal lockup basically is trying to show him that if you don't roll with us, it's going to get worse. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. Now, with that said, I know that being in a state prison is supposed to be different from being in federal prison. I don't know if that's true. You guys let me know, but I've heard that you never really want to go to a state prison, right? If you have to go to a prison, then you want to try to get into a federal prison because the state prison is just ruthless, and the federal prisons are supposed to be safer, right? So if you have the same violent offender or the same violent charge, then if you're going to if you have a choice between it being state and federal, you want to be in federal because that state lockup is just going to be a living hell, right? So that's what I heard. So just getting back to R. Kelly. So he's a neutron. So to me, it just seems like he has to make a choice. He has to make a choice. He has to decide which faction he wants to roll with, and that's even if he has a choice. But because like I said, if this organization, theoretically, right, if the organization is trying to make him their property, then he may not have a choice to join that organization. He can only be he can only interact with that organization as that organization's property. And I'm not 100% sure if my thinking on that is correct. I mean, maybe he can become a part of the organization, but you have to understand that even though R. Kelly may be a neutron, he's not like any other neutron that you would typically see, right? And the reason I say this is that R. Kelly has resources, right? And those resources equate to power to a criminal organization in prison. And the reason I say this is because even though R. Kelly, if R. Kelly loses, and I'm not saying he's going to lose, right? If he loses, then of course the government is going to take all of his money away. But he still has supporters, right? He has people that are willing to, ride it, who are basically just going to ride or die for him, right? Um, and because of that, those people can put money on his books. Those people can do little errands for him outside of prison, right? Those people could possibly come and visit R. Kelly in prison. So all of this stuff has equates to power. Damn, my phone is ringing. Anyway, so all of these things equates to power to a criminal organization, and they probably haven't had this type of power in a long time. So they're going to want to either get R. Kelly to join their organization, or they're going to want R. Kelly as property for their organization. So that's my theory. That is my theory. So in my opinion, R. Kelly has to make a decision, right? While he even though he's in temporary lockup, to me it just seems like he has to make a decision on whether or not he wants some type of protection from the organization, or if he wants to join the organization, right? So that's it for this video. I didn't really intend for it to be long, but let me know what you think. Do you think I'm off? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm crazy? Right? Do you think I'm absolutely out of my mind? Do you believe that R. Kelly can continue to be a neutron, that is, not be affiliated with any organization while he's locked up? And of course, the other flip side of all of this is that, he is being locked up for alleged crimes, and I'm not even going to go into that, right? But you already know that there's a certain class of individuals who go to prison for a certain crime, and basically they're just run through because they committed that, or alleged to have been committed that certain crime. It's over for them, right? Death would be better for them because then they get turned out and they get passed around, right? So I'm not sure how that is going to play out for R. Kelly, but I will say that I believe because R. Kelly uh, has a certain amount of power in prison, that power, well, I'll just say resources, right? Because of R. Kelly's resources, that his resources is going to override whatever fate that could typically happen to someone who's being accused of what he's being accused of. Do you agree? Let me know. Questions and comments below. Let me know what you think. Do you think R. Kelly can stand alone and not affiliate with any organization in prison? Do you think his status will allow him to do that? Do you think he should join an organization? Maybe become Muslim, if nothing else, right? Because being a Muslim is a religious organization, but there's a clique, you have a pack, a crew that you can run with. Or do you think he needs to just join the criminal organization that's in power, at that facility, right? And of course, you can never really calculate what organization is probably the best organization to belong to, because while they may have power in one facility, they may not have power in the next facility, so on and so forth, right? Um, I don't know. And then you may not get the respect. You may not even get respect or credibility, because you're just joining the organization just because you need protection, and you haven't done anything for the organization. So I mean, this is all complicated stuff. But what I really want to know from you guys is whether or not you think R. Kelly is above all that because of who he is. Let me know. Questions and comments below.